At the brink of extinction at the hands of a deadly disease, humanity was left desperate for a solution. A group of scientists created a project named Project Gestalt in an attempt to save the human race. This project involved separating a person's soul from their body. Replicants, empty bodies that were copied from humans, were to be rejoined with their souls, also known as Gestalts, after the epidemic had passed. Another project known as Project NieR was created to put humans back together after their bodies and souls had been split. Once a Gestalt was successfully implemented into a vessel in the form of a book, the project was deemed successful. 2 books with the names Grimoire Noir and Grimoire Vice were created as the solution for when humanity was destined to be awakened from the Gestalt project. As it would require a huge amount of energy to do so, the power was sealed away in different books. The title of the original Gestalt was given to a man named NieR, who was tasked with providing genetic material for the project, of the promise that he would receive a cure for his sick daughter Yona. In order to have someone who could look over the project as the humans slept, androids were created. And so, several models of twin androids with the names Devola and Popola were born. Their one job was very straightforward: function as observers for Project Gestalt. That was the sole reason that they'd been created. Although all of the Devola and Popola models carried themselves with pride, seeing as they'd been entrusted with the future of humanity, they felt anxious as well. But because all of the models were created as twins, they never had to carry their burden alone. As several pairs of twins were created, they were all given specific areas to supervise until the promised day, when humanity was to be awakened once more. However, as the years passed on, the project started failing when the replicant bodies would relapse due to becoming self-aware, which in turn would cause their gestalts to turn hostile. The relapses would result in replicants catching a disease known as the Black Scrawl, only for them to eventually die. Relapses were quickly becoming frequent, and so the Black Scrawl started spreading fast. This left the Devola and Popola models frustrated and without a solution. In order to not let the replicants know that the project was failing, Devola and Popola would act as if nothing was wrong. But when it was just the 2 of them, they would hold each other close in fear. The burden that they were made to bear was heavy, but they could endure it because they had each other. But this caused them to question if their creators knew the fate of the project, and therefore decided to make them a twin model, as the burden of humanity's fate would be too heavy to bear alone. Years went by, and the twin models were still left without a solution for the increasing relapses. They'd always keep a straight face and try to do their work the very best they could, surrounded by relapsing replicants and hostile gestalts. But when a certain group acted out of line, they had to intervene. NieR's replicant was unknowingly threatening to bring the entire project to a halt, which forced the twins that were supervising that area to take action against him. But as a result of NieR's eventual death, Project Gestalt collapsed. After the Devola and Popola models who were set in charge of that specific area failed at their job as supervisors by not only revealing the truth of the project to the replicants, but also failing to protect the project, NieR sacrificed himself for the sake of his friends, and in doing so, he inevitably doomed the project as he was the one who was set to provide the genetic material. Without the project, humanity had no way of recovering, and so they were eventually set to go extinct. This realization caused the twin model androids to send the rest of the replicant data they had to be stored on a base on the moon as a last resort, as it would be better to risk whatever little chance they had than to completely give up on trying to bring the humans back, because protecting humanity was their instinct. They were desperate to try anything for the sake of their masters. This same instinct is what caused the downfall of the Devola and Popola models. As all androids had been programmed with the instinct to protect humans, they started hating the models who had doomed humanity. And so, the Devola and Popola models were the ones who were forced to take the blame. Although it started simply as mean comments and sour glares once every now and then, it all eventually piled up, and the twin models came to be known as scapegoats. After the incident, the twin models were labeled as unstable, and so their systems were deemed unfit for future androids. The remaining Devola and Popola models that were still active went under a memory wipe, only to be forcibly reprogrammed to feel constant guilt at the actions of the other Devola and Popola. After the planet was invaded invaded by aliens and taken over by machine life forms, one certain pair of twins fled from camp to camp in search of a place that would take them in. They were met with slander and violence seemingly no matter where they went. After Devola had her leg injured by a member at one of the camps that the two of them were staying at, they had to make their way through deserts and harsh weather on top of Devola's leg injury. But they eventually found their way to a place called the Resistance Camp, where they were reluctantly offered a place to stay in exchange for work. The androids that were residing at the camp didn't fully trust them, and because of that, all of the dangerous dirty work that no one else wanted to do was pushed onto the two of them instead. Although they weren't built to be combat androids, they were forced to fight and to go on dangerous expeditions. As a result of this, Devola naturally turned hostile towards any other android who'd approach them, but she had Popola by her side to act as a voice of reason. When questioned about why the twins get stuck with the worst jobs, neither Anemone or the twins wished to delve into the past, and instead simply explained the fact that the twin models were destined to live in shame. At the Resistance Camp is where they eventually came in contact with a Aurora android named 2B. 2B approached the twins in search of a scanner that could detect android black boxes, and Devola remembered working on something along those lines in the past, and so they provide her with a scanner. They eventually meet with another Aurora unit named 9S, who was partnered with 2B. After the Aurora androids were overrun by a virus and their base was destroyed, Devola and Popola were the only ones who could perform sufficient maintenance on 9S after he was injured. Seeing 9S slowly become more unstable after completing more of his missions made both twins anxious, because they wished for him to be able to fully complete his mission without dying. After 9S gained access to the tower's main structure, and in doing so reaching the final part of his journey, Devola and Popola sacrificed themselves in order to help him enter the main tower in an attempt to atone for their sins. After helping 9S gain access, the two of them collapsed at the bottom of the tower. Aurora Unit A2 later came across the two of them when entering the tower, and here, Devola asked Unit A2 if they had been helpful. A2 reassures her that they were both able to help before she enters the tower. The twins' fate is left up to interpretation. I hope you found this video interesting. Please leave a like if you did, because it really helps me out a lot. And make sure to check out my social media if you haven't. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and Twitch, all under the name Pixie Valkyrie. Thank you so much for watching.